Welcome to Football Conspiracies.
I'm Jared Cole.
And I'm Jared Rabinovich.
This week's episode, the Bill Belichick double agent theory. Before we start today's episode, I think it's important to mention that
football season is on.
We're back.
Hell
Football
yeah.
is back. Day one, Chiefs versus Ravens, and we already have script writing.
I watched the game last night, but I didn't pay 100% attention, I have to admit. I know it's not a great look as a football podcaster, but the tennis US Open is also on, so I was flipping back and forth a little. I did watch the full last bit of the game, though, the last half or so.
I don't know if you noticed the refs in the first half, especially in the Ravens' first drive.
No, I heard some speak about this, but I didn't look too into it myself because I figured that you might bring it up to me today.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because on the Ravens' second play of the game, they were called a whistle for an illegal formation. This was a penalty that the NFL stated before the season started that they were going to be looking closer at. And so, and they called the Ravens on it 5 times during the game.
5 times.
And they called Kansas City on it 0 times.
Ooh, that does not look good with Kansas City getting the advantage in the game 1 of the season.
Yeah, Kansas City won that game. They won, but I mean, that touchdown, I can't believe he was out by a toe.
Oh, that was absolutely
ridiculous.
Insane. Yeah, I could not believe that. And I was so excited when he got that. He's looking so promising. And
likely was looking really good.
Yeah, and also coming back after injuring himself after 2 plays. Love to see a football player's mentality.
Yeah, for sure. So football season started and the refs were already rigging it. Football is back.
Football is back indeed. But for today, we're going to be going a little bit into the past as we usually do. And we won't actually be focusing on any specific conspiracy theory or NFL player or coach like we usually would. Instead, today, I would like to share with y'all a theory that I've discovered on Reddit in the process of conducting research for previous episodes. There was originally meant to be 2 stories told in this episode, but the first one I started writing about brought me far deeper down the rabbit hole than I had ever anticipated.
Wow, shocker. Jared getting trapped halfway through writing an episode.
Yeah, I know. This has probably happened in over 50% of the episodes that we've had so far. I'm definitely developing a little bit of a track record, but you know what? I think it makes for entertaining deep dives.
Yeah, for sure.
So before we get a little bit deeper into the story, I just want to point out that this is not a properly fleshed out conspiracy theory with ranks of believers, as many of the topics that we cover on the show are. Rather, this is more of a wild fan theory that has gained some positive recognition from a plethora of Reddit users. It does not appear as though anyone truly believes in this theory, but considering some of the shit people believe in these days, I would not be too shocked. The majority of the comments on the threads are made up of people making jokes or adding their own folds into the story. The creators of these theories don't even seem to be pilled on their own conspiracies.
They're just saying this shit to spew shit, is what you're saying.
Absolutely. This is very in the chunky soup curse vein of conspiracy. Just random shit thrown to the wall because it sort of kind of makes sense.
Okay.
But it's certainly an entertaining story, and it has garnered quite a bit of attention. So without further ado, let's get into today's conspiracy, the Bill Belichick double agent theory. I know it's pretty unlikely, but I still gotta ask, as I always do, J. Cole, do you know anything about the Bill Belichick double agent theory?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I expected that to be the answer. This one's pretty deep down in the dirt. You know, you got to be rolling around the dirt with the piggies like me if you want to get this sort of content. So, as a forewarning to the audience, I will be telling this story as told by DJ Gallo, the original creator of the theory, and u/EK Johnson 9, the Reddit user who seems to be responsible for having popularized the theory, at least on Reddit, that is. For that reason, there will be assumptions made that are not necessarily backed up by any proof. In the story, there are a lot of vibe-based conclusions. These are not editorialization by me, but rather folds added to the story in order to make the overall theory more realistic. This was done by the creators themselves, not by me.
Okay, yeah,
Yes.
That makes sense.
I definitely did a tiny bit of editorializing at some points, but I will let you guys know if I ever stray off the path of what is written specifically in this Reddit thread that pretty much this entire episode is based off of.
Is this guy, after reading these stories, is this guy going to be a contender for our apostles, or is this guy just...
Unfortunately, I'm not sure he's going to make it quite there. He only has this one theory, and while it's super entertaining, it's just... I don't know. We can judge that together.
Okay, yeah, let's see what...
Because it's some good work, no matter what.
Okay.
The story begins back in the late 90s, when Belichick was still working as an assistant coach for the Jets. In 1997, the Jets offered the head coaching job to Belichick, but they unceremoniously took the promotion back when they were able to sign New England's head coach, Bill Parcells. Because of this, Bill Belichick would remain the Jets' assistant coach. Under the new contract Belichick signed when Parcells joined the team, there was a contingency that automatically granted Belichick the head coaching job if Parcells resigned. In 1999, Parcells did exactly that. He resigned and took up a position in the Jets' front office. Following Parcells' resignation, the Jets offered Bill Belichick the job before Belichick had the opportunity to interview anywhere else, attempting to lock him in before he had the opportunity to sign with another team. According to the theory, this is when things begin to get suspicious. For the following anecdote, I'll be relying upon the article Inside Bill Belichick's Resignation as the Jets Coach 20 Years Ago, written by Rich Cimini for ESPN. Before I say anything about this story, do you know anything about Bill Belichick's resignation? It's an odd story.
No, I know nothing really about Bill Belichick's pre-New England coaching career.
And to be fair, I didn't really, before I started researching this episode, I didn't realize how many kind of ups and downs he had, which we'll definitely get into here. This actually is going to be pretty illuminating about Belichick's past in some weird tangential way. But this story specifically of his resignation from the Jets is wacky. Because on January 4th, 2000, moments before the press conference scheduled by the Jets to announce Bill Belichick as their new head coach, Belichick apparently wrote on a piece of loose paper that he'd be resigning as the quote-unquote HC of the NYJ. To quote the article,
he handed it to team officials and conducted a 50-minute news conference that went over like fingernails on a chalkboard.
Bill Belichick left the Jets in a lurch, shocking fans, press, and the team's front office staff. He then famously went on to sign with the New England Patriots, the team where he would eventually go on to win 6 Super Bowls. Isn't that a little bit wacky of a departure?
Yeah, like, what?
He was going into the press conference where they were going to announce to all the fans, the press, everyone, that he was their next head coach, and he just said no.
He just immediately resigned.
He resigned minutes before.
That's crazy.
And then went up on that stage and took questions from this press. Must have been so awkward.
That's not for him. He knew what he was doing. Awkward for the Jets.
Oh, and if you thought he knew what he was doing, just you wait for the rest of this story. With all this craziness, many listeners are probably wondering something that I was wondering, and that's how Belichick was able to do this, considering he was already signed to a contract with the Jets. Remember I mentioned that contingency?
Yeah, I just figured, like, he got the job and then resigned, like, immediately after. Like, his contingency in his contract went through, and then he immediately resigned.
The contingency of the contract actually hadn't gone through yet, because he wasn't officially the head coach. They did offer him the job, obviously, and he, accepted before he had this quick turnaround. But he was still signed into this contract, regardless of all of that. And because of this, the Patriots had to give up a first-round pick to the Jets as compensation.
So it was like a coach trade. Like they traded a first-round pick for Bill Belichick.
Which is pretty much what happened. I've never heard of something like this happening before. It wasn't a trade as much as it was a punishment. It was meant to be compensation for him going against his contract.
That's one of the greatest steals of a trade I've ever heard of.
Of course.
Oh my god.
And clearly they were trying to lock down Belichick as a Jets head coach for life. Like, that's clearly what Bill Parcells and the front office were up to. So this is really him turning back and giving them the finger for demoting him to assistant immediately after he got the head coach job.
Wow.
But according to the theory, this compensation being having to give the first round pick for Bill Belichick was actually all a part of Belichick's overarching maniacal plans. Belichick actually wanted this to happen so the Jets could believe they had the upper hand. To further imbue the Jets with this feeling of false security, Belichick ensured the Patriots had a lackluster season during his first year as head coach. The team had a record of 5-11, whereas the Jets finished with a record of 9-7. Belichick even allowed the Jets to defeat the Patriots in their 2 showdowns that season. As DJ Gallo puts it, the trap was set.
Whoa.
Let me reiterate what I was placing at the beginning of this episode for the people who are clearly a little bit confused like J. Cole. Everything I'm saying now is from the Gospel of DJ Gallo.
Obviously, Bill Belichick didn't throw games, but the allegation that he did throw games is whoa.
Well, the allegations might become a little less intense as you see.
Well, obviously they're fake. It's just crazy that someone's dropping them, you know?
Oh, if you think this is the craziest allegation, this is like, I haven't scratched the surface. I truly have not. This is the tip of the iceberg. We have so much left to get down here. I'm telling you, you're going to be down in the dirt with the piggies with me.
Alrighty.
From 2001 to 2004, the Patriots finished first in the AFC East all 4 seasons. In these 4 years, the team won 3 Super Bowls. In that same time span, the Jets had a record of 35-29, managing to make the playoffs 3 times, but with no convincing playoff run. So this was the first phase of Bill Belichick's punishment to the Jets. But after the 2005 season, believing the Jets still deserved to suffer more for the ways that they had hurt him, Belichick began plotting with his defensive assistant, Eric Mangini, and informed Mangini of his plot to destroy the Jets. According to DJ Gallo, the conversation between Belichick and Mangini probably went something like this.
Belichick. Eric, speak with me. Belichick says this while stroking his hairless cat in a gray hoodie and sitting in a throne in his volcano top lair. Mangini. Yes, master. Belichick. I want you to take the Jets' head coaching job and destroy them from the inside, piece by piece, until there is nothing left. But to throw people off the scent, we will pretend we dislike each other. Also, your first season will be a great success. Then, destruction will begin. Mangini. Yes, master, yes. They both laugh maniacally, although Belichick's laugh is far more maniacal.
You now understand why I put it as how the conversation probably went?
That is definitely how the conversation probably went.
I agree, that is definitely how the conversation probably went. So, after sending Mangini over as his first double agent to the Jets, in the first year of Mangini's tenure as their head coach, the Jets made it to the playoffs and lost in the first round, mimicking his advice of, make this seem believable.
Yeah, great success in year 1.
Exactly.
And destruction to follow.
And that's exactly what happened, because in his second and third seasons, the team's record was 4-12 and 9-7 respectively. After his third year, the Jets fired Mangini.
Wait, do you know what his record was that first year?
It was 10-6.
So he went 10-6, 4-12, and then 9-7.
Yes, that's exactly what happened. But he did make the playoffs and that 10-6 run, and he did not make it on the 9-7, which is obviously the differentiator, the huge differentiator between that one game.
Yeah. But I'm just that's crazy up down up,
Oh yeah, it definitely is. And I understand why the decision to fire him made sense at that point, right? He's clearly not a consistent performer with your team.
No.
So this was the end of Belichick's time of fucking with the Jets. He figured after screwing them over for 4 seasons in a row, himself as the Patriots head coach, and then sending Mangini over to screw him over himself for another 3 years, he felt his debt was paid.
Yeah, that makes sense. He got his revenge.
Exactly.
Very, very much so, if that is the case. I mean, he won 3 Super Bowls. They made it to the playoffs
4 times.
4 times.
No convincing playoff run in those 4 times.
Well, I mean, they didn't win a Super Bowl, so obviously they weren't convincing.
I guess you could put it like that.
And it's the Jets.
And it's the Jets.
And it's
the Jets. That's how I feel. So, all that being said, Belichick had far more enemies than just the Jets. The next target of Belichick's wrath would be none other than his former stomping grounds, the Cleveland Browns. A bit of background. In 1995, after spending 5 years as the Browns head coach, Belichick was fired by the team. This was when he made his move to the Jets. Because of this, the theory posits, Belichick has it out for the Browns. His revenge against the Browns began in 2005. Belichick, in a similar move to his maneuver with Eric Mangini and the Jets, sent his assistant coach, Romeo Crennel, to sabotage the Browns. Crennel was hired as the Browns head coach after winning his third Super Bowl as the Patriots assistant coach. Crennel then went on to fulfill Belichick's request and thoroughly dismantled the Cleveland Browns. In Crennel's 4 seasons of being head coach, the Browns had a record of 24-40. 2 of these seasons, the team put up 4-12 records. The Browns did not make the playoffs during Crennel's entire tenure. To add insult to injury, Belichick schemed to make sure that once Crennel had been fired, another one of his men would take the lead as the head coaching spot. That man would be none other than Eric Mangini. After Crennel was fired in 2008, Mangini, coming off 3 underwhelming seasons heading out the Jets, also at the bequest of Bill Belichick as we discussed, was selected as the Browns head coach. The Browns would go on to have 2 seasons in a row with 5-11 records before firing Mangini.
Wow, shocker, Mangini gets fired again.
Yes, exactly. And do you want to hear the last sad quirk of Mangini's career that I discovered in this?
100%, of course.
This was not part of the theory, but I thought it was something that must be mentioned, especially with the numerology bent that we have. I noticed this and it has to be told. This would spell the end of Mangini's NFL career, this last season when he got fired by the Browns, except 1 year at the San Francisco 49ers as a defensive coordinator in 2015, 4 years after he had been fired. The 49ers would also finish this season with a record of 5-11.
Wow.
Yeah, so his last 3 seasons as a coaching staff, all his teams ended 5-11.
Wow.
Weird stuff.
That is weird stuff. I think that was Bill Belichick just saying fuck you to the 49ers just because why not, you know? He's like, yo, you're getting out of retirement. You're going to the 49ers. I want them to lose.
Exactly. Nothing specifically against them, but...
He just had beef with the 49ers because he wanted to, you know?
Clearly he's someone who just wants to watch the world burn.
Exactly.
After the Browns, Belichick's thirst for vengeance had still not been quenched. His next target would go beyond the realm of the NFL. The University of Notre Dame.
The Fighting Irish.
The Fighting Irish. Indeed. In this instance, after the 2004 season, Belichick introduced Charlie Wise, his current offensive coordinator, to his evil scheme. He chose to send Wise to Notre Dame to get his comeuppance. The following 2 years, Charlie Wise had decent seasons as Notre Dame's head coach to deflect from any sort of suspicion. In his 3rd, 4th, and 5th seasons, Wise made sure Notre Dame missed the playoffs. After his 5th season with the team, Notre Dame fired Charlie Wise. Of all the revenge plots we've spoken about so far, this, to me, definitely seems to come across as the weakest. And that's for a reason, actually. The true victory for Belichick was far more subtle than his plans for the Jets and the Browns. So, some of y'all might be wondering what Belichick had to get revenge at Notre Dame for.
Yeah, what did they do when he was like a college football player?
No, he had never worked for them, he never played for them, so there's no direct connection of Bill Belichick and Notre Dame. Except Bill's father, Steve Belichick, worked as the coach for the United States Naval Academy's football team, the Navy Midshipmen, for over 30 years.
Wow.
From the 50s to the 80s.
Okay, and?
During the entirety of his tenure, the Midshipmen did not manage to beat Notre Dame even once.
Wow.
Brutal stuff. This was an over 40-year drought of never beating them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they didn't play too many times, but I think they played 12 times every single time they lost. However, in 2007, under the leadership of Charlie Wise, Notre Dame lost to the Midshipmen for the first time with a score of 46-44, a game that was decided in triple overtime.
Wow, triple overtime.
Yeah, the Midshipmen must really suck when Charlie Wise is trying to get them to lose and they still go to triple overtime.
Yeah.
But I think that's the most subtle and devious plot yet.
I think that's the most convincing one, that Bill Belichick might have had something to do with these coaching changes.
100%, because the idea of sabotaging an entire season and in turn, his underlings' careers, this one really just shows him sabotaging one game for a very personal reason. This one definitely has the most realistic action and the most understandable motive. After getting his long-awaited revenge against Notre Dame, Belichick moved on to his next target, the Denver Broncos. After winning their third Super Bowl in 4 years, Belichick was ready to bring the Patriots to their second repeat championship within 5 years. This was until January of 2006, when the Patriots were taken down by the Broncos in the divisional round in an embarrassing defeat, what would be the first playoff defeat in the Belichick-Brady era. As revenge, after the 2008 season, Belichick sent his offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, to the Broncos, his next and newest double agent. McDaniels became an almost instantly disliked head coach in Denver. He would go on to lead the team to a record of 8-8 in his first season. In his second season, McDaniels would be fired after week 13. To date, the Broncos had a record of 3-9. Awful.
Terrible. Well, I mean, that's the Broncos.
Yeah, but like week 13, no chance you're in the playoffs.
No, 3-9.
Yeah, that hurts. To be fair, they did end up going on to finish the season with 4-12. So statistically speaking, he didn't change anything with the team.
No, it was the exact same with
exactly.
loss percentage.
Yeah,
so.
He wasn't making them worse. He wasn't making them better. That's what it seems like, at least. According to DJ Gallo, there was one more team that Belichick had it out for. This was the Kansas City Chiefs. The reason Belichick had beef with the Chiefs is a little convoluted, but here's the story. In 2008, Tom Brady suffered an ACL tear, leaving him out for the remainder of the season. His replacement was a man by the name of Matt Castle. He hadn't started a game since high school. Before the game, he replaced Brady after his injury.
How do you become an NFL backup and not play in college?
He did play in college.
He
just
never
never started a game.
College.
I have no idea how he made it to the NFL as never starting a college game. Like, it's truly weird to me, and I did not look further into it. It's definitely something that warrants more of an investigation.
Yeah.
But I just thought that's one of the weirdest facts I've heard.
Yeah, that is... Yeah, I mean, what?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and also while we're here, I just need to say something. As crazy as this whole theory is, it is incredibly accurate. Every detail that is within here, every game, every score that they put, 100% accurate. Like, they killed it. Unlike the Chunky Soup Curse, where there's just, like, random bullshit they have to weed out, this is 100% accurate.
Yeah, I mean, it's believable, too.
Exactly. Like, it's crazy and so over the top, everything lines up, you know? The A to B to C all makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so what does he have against Kansas City?
Yes, exactly. Good question. So Castle replaced Tom Brady after the ACL injury. And then the Patriots went on to have a poor season without having Brady around. You know, Castle had to heavily rely on his teammates for success, and it was really a poor performance compared to the previous seasons. According to the theory, Belichick's logic was that the poor season would not have happened if Brady had not been injured. Who injured Brady? None other than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Therefore, they must be punished.
In Bill Belichick's world, absolutely. In this instance, Belichick was clearly feeling creative because for the first time, instead of recruiting a fellow coaching staff to assist in his evil plot, he tapped on a player. And that player was Matt Castle. Belichick dispatched his backup quarterback, Matt Castle, to the Chiefs. Well, there's actually quite a lively debate online about the truth behind Castle's tenure at the Chiefs. At the time, fans of the team almost universally hated him. After 4 unsuccessful seasons with the Chiefs, Castle moved his talents to the Minnesota Vikings. So that was the end of Bill Belichick's double agent theory, at least the original bit of it created by DJ Gallo himself.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's these 5 double agents that he sends in to different teams to destroy them in different ways. And it's the long, overarching, maniacal plan that defines Belichick's career.
I 100% believe it. I am 100% on board with this. I believe Bill Belichick used every single one of those people with or without their will.
You're double agent pilled?
Oh, 1,000,000,000%. I am 1,000,000,000% taking this pill.
You know what? If he is that good of an organizer, then it makes sense why he was able to win 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah, I mean, DJ Gallo is personally going in my apostles. He has created something beautiful here.
Okay, I'm glad, because when I was going through this myself, I wasn't 100% sure, but as I've been speaking it through with you, and I'm realizing, not just in my writing, but out loud having this conversation, how even though it's ridiculous, it completely makes sense, and the logic is completely there, I would say this guy is a pretty big legend. You're right.
Yeah, 100%.
You're right. You know what? DJ Gallo.
Certified apostle.
Welcome to the Apostles. So this might be the end of DJ Gallo's contribution to the theory. However, there are a couple people who have since added on to this theory with even more outrageous claims. Keep in mind, these aren't really like double agent theories as much as they've been added to the Reddit thread, the main post of the Reddit thread, so they are part and parcel of this theory even though they don't fall along the same lines as the rest of them. U/MantisEye added their twisted conspiracy theory, which will be quoted directly from the Reddit thread. The reason for this is that it's so melted, I can't possibly do a better job than telling it than they do.
Actually, if we're doing Belichick conspiracies, I would posit that since the Giants gave Belichick his first coordinator job and his first 2 Super Bowl rings, he has a soft spot for them in whatever it is that approximates his heart. So when he came up against them in Super Bowl 42 with the chance to have his first 19-0 season in NFL history, he not only told his defensive line to let Eli slip away from a sack that may have ended the game, but he got together with David Tyree before the game and told him about the play beforehand. David Tyree was born in New Jersey in 1980, only a few short miles away from the Giants stadium. Less than a year earlier, Bill Belichick joined the New York Giants as a special teams coach. What I'm saying is, David Tyree is Bill Belichick's son. Why do you think Tyree never made another catch after that one? He assured his place in NFL history in exchange for never revealing his true father to the world.
So how believable would you rate that on a scale from 1 to 10?
I would give that a solid 6.
That's a solid 6? You do know what Bill Belichick and David Tyree look like, right?
I have no clue what David Tyree looks like.
He's a black man who could be about the age of Belichick's son, I would say.
I mean, could he? I mean, technically, I guess. But I mean, anyone who's at least, 18 years younger than Bill Belichick could be the age of Bill Belichick.
Exactly why this theory is so fucking melted. You see what I was saying? Yeah. This I do not think holds a candle to the work of DJ Gallo.
No, God, no.
Exactly. This is truly just random fun.
Yeah.
This is not, thought through with any logic other than the fact that, they were in the same area when he was born, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
It's still cute, though.
Yeah, crazy.
The last addition to this theory was written by u/EKJohnson9, the same user who I mentioned earlier that is responsible for preserving the theory on Reddit, even though he is not the original creator. For his part, u/EKJohnson9 posits that the 2012 Super Bowl was predetermined before the fact by Bill Belichick himself. This one is a little convoluted as well, but follow me down this rabbit hole, if you will. The AFC Championship game in 2012 was played by the Ravens and the Patriots. Going into the matchup, Belichick knew it would be the Ravens safety, Ed Reed's, last chance to get a ring before the end of his career, while Brady would have plenty of time to accumulate more. The big question about this is why? Why would Bill Belichick willingly give up a championship because of Ed Reed? Well, it's because, according to u/EKJohnson9, Bill Belichick loves Ed Reed. The evidence of this is in the form of a New York Times article titled, "When Asked About the Ravens' Reed, Belichick Can't Stop Pouring on the Praise" by Peter May. The one big issue with this article is that it is behind a paywall. I was forced to rely on my own gumshoe reporting skills and quickly found a video of Belichick getting interviewed and raving about an Ed Reed play. It's not really worth playing a clip, but really it's just them talking about a famous play where Reed had an interception from Peyton Manning, and it was very famous at the time. And in this video, Belichick is literally gushing over Ed Reed. He's like, "Oh my god, it's so amazing." A direct quote from Belichick is, "Best play I've ever seen a free safety make."
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know this for certain. I'm going to assume that the article behind the paywall expounds on this infatuation even further. For the cherry on top, Belichick allegedly said to John Harbaugh, the head coach of the Ravens, "Finish it," during the post-game handshake. So that is the last bit of theory to do with the double agent theory. I, once again, don't think it holds a candle to DJ Gallo, but I kind of like this one. I kind of just like the idea that...
These ones are the more cutesy, innocent ones. Bill Belichick might have a black son out in New Jersey.
Exactly.
Or
I would often include this sort of stuff in like the some wackier stuff I found section of the podcast. But because this one was a part of the theory itself, it had to be there. And I had to share it with you all. I do think it's interesting that John Harbaugh comes up once again. He has to be probably the most mentioned person on this entire podcast.
Yeah, dude is at the center of every single conspiracy we've covered. Like, you know what? Maybe he is the scriptwriter.
Actually, the best theory I've heard yet. Him and Jordan Peele sit down in him and
Keegan-Michael.
Yeah, him and Keegan-Michael Key sit down and write the script at the beginning of the season. 100%. That's the truth.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, he just is poking his head around every corner. I love to see him there. You know, there's got to be a full episode on him coming sometime soon.
Well, I mean, we did his brother.
Yeah, and the more I look into it, the wackier he seems.
In honor of this being kickoff weekend for the NFL, and today, when we finish recording, we're actually going to be sitting on the couch, and we're going to be watching the first ever regular season game to take place in Brazil.
I'm really excited for it. That's such a cool location. And they're not even going to be able to tweet about it.
What? Oh, right. Yeah, because Twitter banned in Brazil.
Exactly.
But, I don't know, I figured because this is the first time they're playing in Brazil, I thought maybe we should look at other international NFL through the history, some of the fun, wild, and weird stuff going on in international NFL world.
That's a lovely idea.
So, the first game ever played outside of the USA was in Toronto.
No way, really? That's our hometown for those who aren't aware.
Yeah, Canada will get a little bit of a feature in this episode because we are close to America, so we do get some games, or at least we used to. I'll get into that. But I just want to pull up this article I found. Well, it's kind of an article. It's from the Coffin Corner, Volume 4, Number 7 of 1982. That recounts a game in November of 1926. The only reason I'm like truly going into this, first of all, because it's the first one. Second of all, it took place in Toronto. But the third one is because it was Red Grange.
And I'm the one who goes down rabbit hole, dog?
Yeah, do you not remember who Red Grange was from the nickname episode?
No, he was. Yes, he was one of the fast ones, right?
Yeah, his nickname was the Galloping Ghost.
Yes.
So, yeah, crazy that he played
a part in 2 of these. Yeah, like, I don't know how often we're going to see a 1920s football player show up more than once.
And I will just let you know that the New York Yankees battled the Pacific Coast Professionals for a football game.
The New York Yankees?
Yes.
That's crazy. I had no idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, new top jersey want. If someone could find me a New York Yankees football jersey,
that would be hard.
That's the best find, for sure.
So, the second ever international game was a game between a CFL team and an American League team.
So that was played in Canada, I assume.
It was. Jared, can you read the headline and then the first paragraph?
For sure. Dodgers swamp Montreal Alouettes 27-1. Second half offensive disrupts home team. Brooklyn Dodgers, held to 6 points in the opening half played under the Canadian rules, turned on the heat in the last half played under the American code to wallop Montreal Alouettes 27-1 in an exhibition football game last night before 10,773 fans.
Yeah, so that's what NFL versus CFL was. They would do half and half.
Wow, that's crazy. I wish they would do that again. That would honestly be pretty entertaining. The result would be similar. And you know what? The Alouettes are still around. They could still be playing.
Yeah, so this actually happened like quite a few times. Only once, though, did a CFL team win.
I'm shocked it happened once.
And the only reason it happened... Well, the only reason it's claimed to have happened is because the entire game was played with CFL rules.
Which would kind of make sense,
Would kind of make sense. But the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Hamilton did beat the AFL Buffalo Bills in 1961.
They beat my Bills?
Yes, the Buffalo Bills are the only team to have lost to a Canadian football team.
That's such a sad legacy.
Yeah. Going south of the border, off to Mexico, on August 11th, 1968, a football game was supposed to be played, but it didn't. Can you read another newspaper headline from a long time ago?
Mexican brass cancels Lions-Eagles TV game. What? Mexican officials late Thursday canceled the exhibition game scheduled between the Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles in Mexico City Sunday afternoon. No reason for the action was made, and reports issued simultaneously in Mexico City, Philadelphia, and Detroit.
Yeah, it's super weird. They were supposed to play a game, and then just no reason was given as to why it was canceled.
I would love to know.
So would I, but there was nothing in the newspaper.
It's probably too old to track down any sort of speculation without any deep research.
Yeah, this is from a 1968 newspaper.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much information you're still going to be able to find.
Yeah, probably tough to track that down. I'm not getting into the microfiche for this.
Another game I want to mention is just the highest scoring regulation game outside of the U.S.
Outside of the U.S.?
Yeah. Again, in our hometown of Toronto, the Seattle Seahawks faced off against the Buffalo Bills because during this time the Buffalo Bills had a contract where they played one regular season and one exhibition game in Canada.
Well, bring back the contract.
Well, there's a lot of confusion in the contract, and it'll never be brought back.
A man can hope. A man can dream.
Yeah, but I checked because the score was high and a little weird, and I wanted to see if it was scoregami. And
I was literally just thinking that. It's so funny.
It wasn't, but this was the last time this score has ever happened. It has only ever happened 3 times in NFL history, and the last time was this time. The Seahawks beat the Bills 50-17.
50-17.
Russell Wilson had 3 rushing touchdowns.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is tough.
Yeah. So, some more research I did into this. Australia had a game in 1999. The Broncos beat the San Diego Chargers 20-17. Dublin had a game in 1997 where the Steelers beat the Bears 30-17. Tokyo had 13 exhibition games played. 12 of them between 1990 and 2005. The first one was in 1976 between the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Chargers.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy that they were playing football Tokyo in 1976.
Yeah, that is a little weird. Like, the U.S. and Japan didn't love each other in the 70s, pretty famously.
Well, this definitely helped improve relations, I guess.
Yeah, maybe it was like a political thing. Maybe it was like when Nixon visited China.
Exactly. So I was scrolling through a list of cities that have hosted an NFL game outside of America. So you have like Madrid, and you have Winnipeg hosted a game. Sure. And Vancouver hosted
Understandable.
A game. And Germany has hosted games, but next to Berlin, there was a little note. And so I clicked on the note, and then I did my research, and in 1990, the LA Rams and the Kansas City Chiefs faced off in West Berlin.
Wow, that's actually so cool.
Yeah.
Wow. They brought the NFL players into West Berlin for a game. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It's
cool stuff.
The Rams won 19-3, if that means anything to anyone, but...
You know what else that implies? There was a football field, or at least they built one, in West Berlin.
Well, there was the Olympia Stadion.
That makes sense, actually, yeah.
So they already had a big enough stadium. But the NFL is always looking to expand, of course, and they've looked into having games all over the world. Of course, we have the game in Brazil that's happening in 30 minutes. They were once supposed to go to China, and then they didn't. in
Wow.
2007.
Maybe that would have solved all the world problems that we have today.
Well, they tried to go back in 2009, and then they didn't.
Fucking Obama.
And then they tried once more in 2019. And can you guess what?
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
I do appreciate the efforts by everyone all around, though. You know, it would be nice to see it one day. I think that'd be genuinely really cool.
Yeah. And then, I mean, why not? Let's see NFL games everywhere. I want to see them play in Antarctica, because why not? You know,
you're right.
They play in the snow all the time. Why can't they play in the snow out there?
Crazy leap in logic.
That would be a wild game. Last thing I want to touch on for international NFL, an article came out in 2017 that NFL Executive Vice President of International, Mark Waller, gave an update saying that 2022 is a doable target for a London-based NFL team.
Yeah, we've heard it all before.
That was 2017 saying that 2022 was...
It's all chit-chat from them over there at the London NFL team. It's never going to happen.
Obviously, bro. I mean,
they're also Jacksonville fans down there. It'd be weird to take away their team from them.
Yeah, it is a Jackson. If anything, Jacksonville's relocating to London before London gets a new team.
Which would be crazy. Imagine that.
That would be insane. Yeah, so that is NFL abroad.
That's a pretty crazy list of places. I had no idea. Yeah. I feel like they're so boring with where they go today. I feel like we're so blessed that we're getting a single Brazil game, but who knew that they went to Japan 13 times?
Yeah, and wild stuff. I'll send you the list of all the other places. They played a game in Sweden.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Wild. Why not? Exactly. See, well,
no, that's what I'm saying. It's why not?
Not a crazy leap in logic.
No, every place, I'm saying, why not? Who cares? Get the football there.
Exactly.
Expand the game.
Exactly. That's what I want to see.
Spread CTE across the globe.
Yeah. And ruin everyone's brain.
Exactly. Thank you for listening to this week's episode.
You can find us on Twitter at FB Conspiracies, where we will post all the graphics and links we spoke about during this episode.
You can also reach us by email using fbconspiracies@gmail.com.
A special thanks to Blaze for the music.
If you enjoyed, consider leaving a review.
Join us next week for more football conspiracies.
And now I'm going to say something that we're probably only ever going to get to say once in our lives. Let's go watch some Friday Night Football in Brazil.
Yeah, let's go watch some Friday Night Football in Brazil. What the fuck?